Get in, nerds. We are playing Victoria 3. Our main focus this episode is going to be getting universal suffrage passed. And that will hopefully deal with our little revolution problem. Because we do have a revolution problem, and it is not great. So, we'll have to do what we have to do. I'm still going to keep taxes low because extra legitimacy, reduced radicals from political movements, that's all useful. Dropping it to very low might be a little absurd, but I might need to. So, we'll see. We'll see. How's the investment pool? Investment pool is looking alright. A fort in a sea of anger. The mobs have surrounded an arsenal in eastern Qing Bay, threatening to seize the arms and munitions store within. While the guards are staving off attacks for now, if no relief is sent, the arsenal will fall to the insurrectionists. I couldn't sleep last night. The commander refuses to accept terms, and firing continues from both the arsenal and the emplacements that now surround it. After one loud blast, I sprung out of bed and went to my knees to pray as I'd never prayed before. A relief column could escalate tensions, but it's worth it. 5% of servicemen in eastern Hubei become more radical, and the chances of civil war here are basically even. 66% chance of reduced progress by 5%, 33% chance of increased progress by 10%. That nets to 0 effectively. Same with this one, although the amounts are reversed. So the big thing I'm deciding between here is a relief column could escalate the tensions a little, but it's necessary. 5% of servicemen become more radical, or the mob can be emboldened by a surrender, but we need to take the risk. 5% of officers become more radical. I'm going to go with the servicemen because the officers are more likely to align with scholar officials, and I don't want to put more radicals into their hands. So that is what it is. I don't know why the Confucian scholars are joining this, or potentially joining this revolution, because I don't think they actually care about this. None of their ideological traits are anything about democracy, so I think they're just in it for the vibes, I guess. But it is what it is. I should have researched socialism. All right. Could found a company. That'd be fun. But I don't need one. I don't need to be worrying about the situation in Bahrain. Man. See, now I'm feeling a little silly about taking that minus 15% chance. I think maybe the setback would be better, but in my experience, taking a setback is almost always the wrong call. So I'm not necessarily unhappy with where things are currently going. So once I've got the financial ability to, I would love to build more universities. Sedition amongst the Confucian scholars. Prominent members of the Confucian scholars have been found to be using their privileged position in society to encourage radically anti-government activities. Great Qing is split between two irreconcilable camps, said the priest. One of them pursues a policy of anti-Qing and anti-religious terror. The other side pursues a policy of respect for God and seeks to restore the national order. With this in mind, who else could any good-hearted person stand behind? They are not sacrosanct as long as they continue to meddle in politics. Reduce interest group approval, 5% of clergymen pops become more radical. Reduce interest group strength. Reduce civil war progress by 5%. Or, we cannot become known as executioners of priests. Confucian scholars become stronger. Increase civil war progress. I don't want to do this because this is going to make them really salty. But I'm going to do the second one. I can afford them being a little stronger. Again, this movement is only at 79%. British reactionary revolts now leads the British Empire. Alright, so Great Britain has finished its war. And the British Empire includes less and less of all of the territory on Earth than it ever has. We do have defensive pacts with France and Canada in case things pop off, but I think having a revolution will create problems with our fragile unity, which I don't want to necessarily be in a situation of having to deal with. Anti-Spanish League demands action. The Anti-Spanish League has requested that we dissolve our trade agreement with Spain. So who's in the Anti-Spanish League? These two groups. Okay, successfully acting on the proposal will gain our government significant goodwill from the lobby. And to those who would refuse and prefer preserving the status quo, There was no hesitation. His response sounded well rehearsed because it was. This was a proactive man, one who spent hours pacing his chambers and anticipating attacks to come. My reply would be that we should never have allowed them to become so close to us in the first place. A friendship built upon deceit is nothing at all, and the goodwill gained from it illusory. I'm going to look into this, particularly because I want to get more interest groups happier before all this pops off. Another stall event. Spain, my man. No trade. Protests across Yunnan. The modernization movement has organized mass protests across the Yunnan region. While the protests have remained peaceful for now, local authorities have raised concerns about possible violence. It was more people than he had ever seen. Dali, once quiet and known for an almost pastoral character, had come alive with shouting voices and waving flags. He wondered if any of his neighbors were in that crowd. He'd always thought that he shared nothing in common with them. Perhaps he'd been wrong. Allow them to air their concerns. Stronger modernization movement. 2% of pops become more loyalist. Yunnan gets reduced mortality from turmoil, extra pop political strength, and increased radicals from political movements. Or the authorities must act to halt these displays. 2% of pops become more radical. Significantly increased radicals from political movements. Increased state penalties from turmoil. The first one seems a lot better, so we'll do it. The paperwork of elections, a stall event. Implementing a proper voting system for the upcoming universal suffrage elections put a strain on the Qing government's administrative capabilities. Once we have the whole infrastructure in place, it'll be much easier. We need to prove that we can do this. People need to be able to trust that their votes are properly collected and counted, or they will quickly dismiss the elections as a sham. The people are watching. Other nations are watching. We can't afford to take shortcuts. We'll use resources from other administrative branches if necessary, reduce bureaucracy, or we simply have to take the time, plus 20% enactment time. I'm going to have to sacrifice this bureaucracy. It's what it is. Oh, that hurts. That hurts, and it hurts our finances. But that's okay. We can just increase the size of the government to compensate. So let's build up some government sectors in a lot of our most populated areas. Shanxi, yeah. There we go. That should probably be enough. There's our lobby demand completed. Hopefully that makes... Well, the Confucian scholars are a lot happier, so they've bailed out of the movement. Movement is still potentially going up to 80%, but it's going to be a lot smaller now. Well, I thought it was going to be a lot smaller. We'll see if it ends up being. Obviously, this impacts our finances significantly, but once we get these government admins built, it should be better. Rot of the Vine. With a rich harvest in Hunan Jiangying. With a rich harvest in Hunan, Jiangying has a delivery report. 0 of everything, with a stern ultimatum. A new order that serves the rural folk, or mass starvation. We're bloody starving. The rats are starving too. Can't even go out and hunt rabbits. Look at all that fruit. It's just sitting there winking at us, waiting to be picked. Why won't the government do something? Rather take my chances with them than old man Jenkins' shotgun. Seize every farm complicit in this. Armed forces happier. Reduce agricultural throughput for 2 years, though not by that much. Increase Civil War progress by 10%. Or send for supplies from Dainam. Reduce Civil War progress. Great Qing gets happier increased trade route volume, happier industrialists, significantly reduced throughput, or sell seeds and guides for at-home cultivation, increased Civil War progress, extra radicals from political movements, extra subsistence output, and the same throughput as the first one. We'll get supplies from Dainam, thank you. That should be just fine. Happier industrialists is what we want right now. It's not the only thing we want right now, but it's a thing we want right now. Alright, the bureaucracy is looking a little bit better. Let's just see if what we've currently got slated for construction will get us the rest of the way before I queue in more. Obviously, queuing in more will be more effective short term, but I don't want to necessarily put myself in a situation where I'm way over my government capacity. Okay, doesn't seem like I've built enough. So we'll build some in Fujian. 6 levels in Fujian and 4 levels in Zhejiang. Actually, this might be enough. Well, actually, this should be enough. Beautiful. We have a socialist revolt in Chitral. Once again, we're going to need 2 armies for this. Not going to be that big of a deal. We got 2 fronts is why we're sending 2 armies, but again, shouldn't be that much of a situation. Oh, man. An anti-French league is formed as a result of an increase in relations with a Qing rival. The lobby comprised of the literati and industrialists. Well, that's not ideal. When you have a hammer, General Chen Kui, noting severe unrest in Uliastai, has proposed using the army to suppress agitation in the area. While his political allies support him, there's heavy risk to following his plan. It's simple. We have an army and there is the enemy. Let me deploy my men and do what is needed, and the enemy shall be vanquished. That is all there is to it. Reprimand the general and reject the plan. Scholar officials unhappy. Or we must use the tools we have to solve the problems we have. 1/3 chance of reducing civil war progress. 2/3 chance of increasing it. I'll do the second one. Civil war progress went up, but I didn't make the scholar officials angrier, which is what matters. Cambodia is improving relations. That is very good. And now we got some extra bureaucratic capacity to work with. Dang. We're close to being in debt. Again, not necessarily an issue medium term, but really could use universal suffrage right now. Haven't gotten an advance event yet, and debate events are fewer and further between than I would like. You know, we are getting quite a bit from diplomatic pacts. We could be getting a lot more. So there's like 25,000 in here, but again, I don't think that's a smart way to structure an international economy. I just don't. I think, oop, lost a general again. Let me see, this is probably in one of our field armies. Can we, is there any way we can, yeah, let's pull some more armed forces fellas in and dilute the power of the revolutionaries a bit more. This is dirty tactics, but I think it's reasonable. I think it's just, it is what it is. I don't want to put too many ethno-nationalists in positions of extreme power. Ooh, here's a petit bourgeois guy. He's a traditionalist, which isn't ideal, but he's aligned with Sun Yat-Sen's group, and that's what matters. Obviously, that costs a little bit of my bureaucracy, but I can live with that. I can live with that. So, we shouldn't get a revolutionary event this time, because revolution progress is going to go down some. And again, this is kind of how it's going to be structured. Okay. Never mind. Oh, no! Gosh darn it. Oh. Struggling people in southern Anhui have been desperately trying to get their hands on any food they can. Dire warnings of a turnip winter have been spreading throughout the region. Last week, all we could get was pig's feed. This week, I'm not sure what this stuff is. Is that sawdust? These food substitutes will fill people's stomachs, 2% mortality. Try to increase local food production by any means possible. Reduced agriculture tax income, extra agriculture and plantations throughput, reduced civil war progress. Or we can't do anything for them. Reduced agriculture throughput, add civil war progress. I'm going to increase local food production. The cost is going to be negligible. The God-worshipping society. A strange cult has emerged in western Guangdong. Taking elements from local faith as well as Christianity, their leader believes he is the younger brother of Jesus Christ. My eyes see through beyond the west, the north, the rivers and the mountains. My voice shakes the east, the south, the sun, and the moon. Curious and concerning. Extra radicals from political movements from Guangdong, 10% of non-Protestant pops in western Guangdong become Protestant, and a character appears in Great Qing. Zhu Fang. He's part of the Confucian traditionalist movement. He's a theocrat. He's tactful. Interesting. Doesn't change much right now, but could be an issue. The Heavenly Kingdom. Let's take a look at this. Dangerous zealots are inspiring dissent across the nation. They pose an extreme threat. If they can rally enough people to their cult, they will attempt to establish their own heretic kingdom. These madmen must be stopped at all costs. Will complete if all Qing states currently does not have God-worshipping society. Will fail if at least 4 Qing states has God-worshipping society. Or if any Qing state has Protestant acceptance is less or equal to 10, or turmoil is great. Hey, we got it. Wait, no, that's bad. We don't want to have that.
Uh-oh.
Well, it seems this... Oh, no, it needs to be both. It needs to be both. So we need to have a state where Catholic pops... where Protestant pops have low acceptance, where turmoil is 15% or greater, and has God-worshipping society. And then we need to have 4 pops that have God-worshipping society. And if we can get rid of God-worshipping society, we can deal with it. All right, so there's the monitor. I'm going to upgrade all units. And does that include Navy? It includes Navy. All right, so that should be fine. I'm going to flip a few more of our military shipyards over to producing steel-hulled craft. There's the Chitrali Socialist Revolt. We'll grab Zhejiang. Fujian is still producing wooden-hulled ships, and I think that's mostly reasonable, but let's wait a few weeks and take a look at that. Alright, so that's the end of that revolt. 10% chance here. Come on, give it to me. Oh, actually, we're going to get a revolutionary event first. Which is the same. Still holding at 80%. Yep, predicted to drift towards 80%, which is good. It's good that we're holding there. Standard of living is going up. Monitor is completed. The shallow draft solution. Designed for coastal defense operations, but monitors lack in ocean-going capabilities. They make up for in cost effectiveness. Admiral Chen Bing Sa has informed the Admiralty in Beijing that his fleet will keep any foes away from Qing waters. Sir, while it might indeed look like a cheese box on a raft, I assure you that the 15-inch guns she carries in that box of hers are no laughing matter. Secure shores means secure commerce, extra trade center building throughput. Let us orient our naval doctrine around them, extra Navy defense. Or we don't win by having the best ships, we win by having the most ships. Reduce Navy offense and defense, but extra military shipyards throughput. You know we're going to orient our naval doctrine around them for extra defense. That's my way. That's what I like to do. Now, let's take a look at market prices. Yeah, we're doing just fine. We're right where we want to be for ships. So we'll just go ahead and leave that where it is. Alright, we're going to get 2 events back-to-back here. Heavy-handedness. Yizhu Aisinguro mistook an enemy in the Confucian scholars. After accusing them of false charges, moderates in the Confucian scholars defected to the scholar officials' cause. The briefest flash of anger can make an enemy of a friendly face. It can make even the staunchest allies split each other over a misunderstanding. And once it is cast, there is no going back. Their new bedfellows may not be so accommodating. 5% Civil War progress, 50% chance of both of them become stronger, 50% chance of Mingzhu An becomes weaker. Or, Yizhu Aisinguro should stand down. Reduce popularity and interest group attraction. This guy aligns with scholar officials, so reduce interest group attraction is good. Reduce popularity for the leader is just fine. So we'll do the second one. Let's reduce progress. Weaker scholar officials, again, completely fine with me. Come on, give me something good here. Give me something good here. You know how bad I need it. We're trying to reform the country, gosh dang it. China needs this. We need a democracy. It's not like we haven't had not a real democracy. We haven't had a democracy. Oh my goodness, Civil War in Korea. Public address goes awry. A stall ends. What was meant as a routine speech about the merits of universal suffrage by Ma Jingde has quickly devolved into a public relations disaster for the literati. Fumbling his way through a series of poorly presented talking points, Ma Jingde's arguments have been viciously and convincingly picked apart by his political opponents. The question on everyone's lips now is merely if this mishap was due to the inherent failings of universal suffrage, or it can be chalked down to the political incompetence of the literati. It's the fault of this poorly thought-out proposal, minus 13% enactment chance. Ma Jingde must take the blame for this setback. He becomes less popular and the literati become weaker, minus 10% enactment chance. Or scrap the current draft and make a show of a rewrite, plus 10% enactment chance, 1 setback, plus 10% enactment time. I'm going to go with the first one. That's going to drop our success chance below 10%, and that's going to give us a setback, but it's going to put us back up at 25%. Alright, now, Civil War, modernist revolts in Korea. I'm not going to send a giant army, I'm just going to send the plain red banners. this should be fine. I'm not too concerned about it. It's not that big of a deal. Anything I can do about the Heavenly Kingdom? Survey a skyscraper site. That sure would be fun. But I can't deal with it right now. Legislative failures. Right. Possible complete rewrite. Oh, we got a bunch of bureaucracy back. That's fun. Can I increase education? No. Not yet, anyway. How's the power block doing? We're almost up to stable, which would be real nice. The soldier's disease. After his return from duty, General Tong Guan has not been the same. He avoids the barracks like the plague, refuses to use a weapon, and he's stated damn clearly that he doesn't want to hear a damn word about war. He wakes up in the middle of the night, drenched in sweat, screaming. He looks at me and doesn't recognize me, just points and asks about his brother, his dear brother. Sometimes he even tries to get something to throw at me. Where am I? He yells, his eyes seeing past me. He's a royalist aligned with the armed forces. Very high-ranking. These memories would wreck any man. This needs to be treated. He removes the trait shell shock. Okay, that's pretty strong. He get the appropriate trait in an asylum, far from the public eye. He gets fired, and the armed forces get unhappy. Or this is just an instance of cowardice. Send him back to service. Armed forces unhappy. 50% chance he also becomes an alcoholic. All right, we'll get him treated. Yeah. We don't need a guy who can't command. We need a guy who can command, and that's what's needed for this. The Waffling Revolutionary. General Sun, an associate of the Revolutionary Scholar officials, is known to have some doubts about his convictions. It may be possible to use that hesitancy to the government's advantage. Friends, it's not that I don't want the uprising to happen. I'm concerned about, it's like, I'm in a good position. Just, what do I do? What do I do? Press the general to support the government. 50% chance of reduced civil war progress and the scholar officials become happier. 50% chance they become stronger. Or, Nalan Sun cannot be trusted. Arrest him. 50% chance if he dies. 50% of increased civil war progress, and he loses a bunch of popularity. I'm going to press him to support the government. Hopefully we can weaken the scholar officials. We did not. Alright, well, it was worth a try. Gosh, this is taking frickin' forever. This is taking a really long time. Hopefully this won't be just sort of an entire episode of dealing with revolution events. I'm hoping it will not be. Gold reserves are nearly depleted, so we are going into debt. Oh, he died. What a shame. Well, that's unfortunate. Let's put more leaders in. Get an armed forces guy in here. Into the plain red banner army. That would be excellent. We'll give him a big old promotion as well. The usual suite of promotions. The Western Guangdong Missionary School. Protestant missionaries have opened several charity schools in Western Guangdong, offering education in Western religious and scientific practices. St. Jude's, I'll call it. If no other shall answer prayers in the Orient, then let it reach the one who will search this far for prayers. And this St. Jude, who is he? I thought he was the one who betrayed your Jesus. No, the other Jude. But he is known to aid desperate causes, and this school, against all odds, stands all the same. They're welcome to operate in the region. 1% of pops become Protestant, increase education access and reduce conversion, or forbid our citizens from attending. Increase conversion, reduce radicalism from discrimination. I'm going to do the second one. Western Guangdong, what percentage of the population here is Protestant? 13%. Not that much. Converting them back is going to be slow, but it shouldn't be that big of a deal. Now, Italy is guaranteeing our independence. Excellent. The plain blue banner army. We could put another armed forces guy in charge. And I'm hoping that in a kind of a roundabout way, this will just like increase the strength of the armed forces to the point where it dilutes the scholar officials completely out. And that would make me happy. Canada is guaranteeing our independence. Okay. So we're hopefully getting a lot of help from various more liberally inclined nations. Vultures upon a carcass. Opportunist members of the armed forces are defected to the rural folks' cause. Carrion crows pluck from fresh deaths no matter the cause. Some, however, sense when a still living beast is about to die. The creature will wait however long it takes for said meal to die, but better to be first there with the choicest pick of the meat than hoping for scraps. So be it. Stronger rural folk, weaker armed forces, or try to coax some back, reduce bureaucracy. I'll take the bureaucracy hit. I think I can live with that with the amount of bureaucracy I've got. And so that'll cut the amounts in half. It'll still reduce the strength of the armed forces and strengthen the rural folk, but that's okay. Why are the petite bourgeoisie so unhappy? How are you mad? Alright, there's the Korean modernist revolt. Why are you so mad? Because the low government wages. Hey, there's Je ne Cole. Beautiful. So, we'll go ahead and swap our naval bases over to Je ne Cole. That will increase training rate and provide a bunch of other bonuses, and that's generally very good. So, what else we got in tech? Yeah, we're rapidly hurtling towards trench warfare. Once that's completed, definitely some production changes are in order. We need dynamite and improved fertilizer. After that, I'm not sure. I'm tempted to go into society and finish out the tier 3s so that I can finally get central planning. But I need the telephone before that's going to matter, so it is what it is. Force comparison here is looking very good. Doubt this war will take too long to handle. We're up at 25% right now, with 25% advantage chance, so I'm really hoping we can make universal suffrage happen from here. We were initially very... Our enemies actually won a battle. That shouldn't be happening, but it shouldn't be going on for too much longer. On the edge. The petite bourgeoisie, led by the wily Sun Yat-Sen, have threatened to join the revolutionary forces if their demands are not met. Although the concessions they demand are small, the power they will wield if we admit our weakness to them shall be tremendous. In times of turmoil and struggle, the cautious almost always argue that some ideals must be compromised, some reforms must be put on hold to keep the nation from unraveling. I ask them, what is the worth of a nation without ideals? Let it unravel, I say. From the threads we shall weave a better nation, where our ideals are seen as a foundation rather than a threat. Give them what they ask for, happier and stronger petite bourgeoisie, or we'll give them nothing but cold steel, they become insurrectionary. I'm going to give them what they ask for. Happier and stronger petite bourgeoisie does nothing but benefit me. Sun Yat-Sen's interest group being stronger is absolutely what we want, and keeping them out of the hands of the revolutionaries is only benefits. I have no idea why Sun Yat-Sen, why the interest group led by Sun Yat-Sen in China would be against the enactment of universal suffrage, but, you know, no accounting for taste, I guess. That is the nature of randomness and the structure of the engine. Rural folk being royalists part of this? Why are they so upset? If I could get the rural folk doing a little happier, I could be in a really good spot. But unfortunately, I'm not having any really convenient opportunities to do that. Let me see. Wow, it has been kind of an entire episode. France going to war with 2 Ott. That's fine. Greek reactionary revolt. I'm going to ignore. I'm going to stay in here in case France needs me, because we are allies, but I'm going to chill for now. Sailors stay ashore. Sailors in Hebei have refused to embark on any voyages out of port. The scope of the mutiny calls for a delicate approach to the situation. It's very simple. We have demands. We won't sail until those demands are met. Detain the men and keep the incident contained to Hebei. 5% of officer pops become more loyalist. 20% of servicemen become more radical, and that's in Hebei. Force the men onto their ships. 5% of servicemen become more radical. Or try to talk it out with sailors. 5% of officers become more radical. I'm going to force the men onto the ships. 5% of servicemen becoming more radical isn't bad. Particularly when the other option is radical officers, which again, I do not want, because officers very likely to align with the scholar officials. Come on, universal suffrage. Bureaucratic imbroglio, gosh darn it. Lawmakers working towards the enactment of universal suffrage have found themselves mired in a particularly complex set of bureaucratic proceedings, grinding the work towards reform to a near halt. The fully developed bureaucratic apparatus compares with other organizations exactly as does the machine with the non-mechanical modes of production. That is to say, the teeth of its individual gears meet in a chord, or its gears will gnash and churn until it eventually breaks. Damn this labyrinthine legal system, reduce enactment chance, increase enactment time, or cut through at least some of the red tape. 10% of bureaucrats in Beijing become more radical, increase enactment time, but no reduction in enactment chance, and reduce bureaucracy. I'm going to take the second one. That hurts. I'm down to 148 bureaucracy once again. I guess I'll build slightly more bureaucracy in Beijing. No, I don't want to build more in Beijing. We'll build it in Hebei. Just a little bit. Just a little bit more to make sure I've got a sufficient buffer to be able to do whatever I want to do in terms of my institutions. I think all these modifiers are going to go away as soon as we're done with the universal suffrage situation, but until that happens, it's going to be a real headache. Ugh. I don't want to have to reduce taxation to 0. There's the end of the revolt in Korea. So that means the revolutionary event is not shaking so much, which is good. They're at 82%. And these checks are coming slower and slower all the time, which is unfortunate. But it simply is what it is. I think probably we'll cut the episode at the end of the month because we are actually still... Okay, dial it back. We are actually still working towards a resolution of universal suffrage, and though it could happen kind of at any check, the revolutionary events are coming fast. Troops in Uliastai have been reported more and more confrontations with belligerent mobs. Fighting will likely break out soon if nothing else is ordered. There's only 2 ways to control the situation. Either pull the troops back or tell them to engage. The soldier shuffled nervously where he stood, shifting the weight of his gun back and forth as he stared at the crowd stirring far too close by. He thought he recognized some of those faces, or would have if they weren't twisted in utter loathing of him and his uniform. What was he even doing? Was he standing with the right people? Order of withdrawal, 50% chance of Civil War progress increasing and decreasing, extra state penalties from turmoil, or our men are professionals, they can maintain discipline where they are, extra mortality, 66% chance of reduced Civil War progress, 33% chance of increased Civil War progress. We have this because we were using a professional army, and I'm going to do it. It went up, but it'll go back down next time. Some stuff going on in Orcha, but I can't possibly get involved. This is Mecklenburg-Strelitz. Also can't possibly get involved in that. And this finally is La Hedge, which I cannot possibly get involved in. Alright. That is all we've got time for this episode, my nerds. I have had fun. I hope you all have had fun, and I will see you on the other side.